Throughout history, the word Christian has struck fear in the hearts of countless people. It should again. When people think Christian, they tend to imagine kindness, forgiveness, love, and charity. But in reality, Christianity has been one of the most oppressive systems of control in history. Today, Christian nationalists aligned with MAGA conservatives are working to turn the United States into a theocracy, where their interpretation of the Bible shape laws for everyone else. Their goal is complete control over speech, behavior, politics, education, and even your own body. The history is long, the examples are countless, and the danger is real. Here are the top 10 reasons Christianity needs to be reframed as the oppressive, authoritarian cult it is. Number 10. The myth of Christian love versus reality. What happens when a religion that preaches compassion actually enforces control? You get phrases like, "There's no hate like Christian love." Christianity markets itself as compassionate and forgiving, but the love part often comes with strings attached. You are loved if you conform, obey, and believe the right things. Step out of their worldview, though, and that love quickly turns to condemnation. Look at their political priorities: criminalizing abortion, banning LGBTQ+ rights, controlling what teachers can say. These are acts of control, from the Puritans banishing dissenters to modern churches excommunicating anyone who questions dogma. Christian love has long been conditional on submission. If love depends on obedience and conformity, is it really love? Or is it just a tool for manipulating people? Number 9, historical precedent of authoritarianism. Why do today's Christian nationalists follow the same playbook as their ancestors? When Constantine legalized Christianity in the Roman Empire, the church gained political authority, not just acceptance. From there, leaders worked with rulers to enforce conformity, often at the point of a sword. The Spanish Inquisition was state-enforced orthodoxy, where heretics and dissenters were tortured or killed and their property seized. The same approach justified colonial conquest and forced conversions. Today, the pattern remains: legislate morality, silence dissent, and punish resistance. Number 8, control over thought and speech. How free can you be if someone else controls your access to truth? The Bible doesn't just discourage dissent, it condemns it. Verses like 2 Corinthians 10:5 command believers to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. That is a demand for mental submission. Today, that mindset drives book bans and teacher gag orders and laws rewriting history and science to fit the Christian conservative narrative. Number 7, the systemic attack on LGBTQ+ rights. Why does religious freedom so often mean less freedom for others? Christian theology has long labeled LGBTQ+ identity as sinful or broken. Now that prejudice is written into law through religious freedom bills, letting businesses, healthcare providers, and even government offices deny services to LGBTQ+ people. How very Christian of them. This same logic justified racial segregation in the civil rights era. The target has changed, but the tactic is the same. If your faith requires you to treat others as second-class citizens, what does that say about your faith? Number 6, control of women's bodies. What happens when Scripture decides a woman's worth? From Genesis onward, women are portrayed as subordinate. Eve is the temptress. Paul commands women to be silent in church, and Old Testament laws outright treat women as property. That thinking is alive and today in the war on reproductive rights. Abortion bans, restrictions on birth control, and attacks on IVF are rooted in the belief that a woman's main role is reproduction. Women can never truly be free when their bodily autonomy ends where a pastor's opinion begins. It's worth noting here that Pete Hegseth doesn't believe women should be able to vote. They're not only after your bodily autonomy, they're also after your ability to defend it. Number 5, the indoctrination of children. Why would a belief system need to target children so aggressively? Christianity knows the power of early influence. That's why it pushes prayer and religious instruction into public schools, often under the banner of heritage or values. In fact, knowing the importance of getting to them while they're young, church-run boarding schools back in the 1800s and 1900s mercilessly erased Native American cultures by kidnapping Native American children and raising them in religious, white-oriented schools, forbidding them their own faiths and even their own languages. Today, the battle is over science, sex education, and history, which is either being suppressed or rewritten to match the conservative Christian viewpoint, going so far that public schools in states like Texas and Florida have altered or completely erased entire subjects so that they can control the narrative they feed our young. How true is your religion and your God if you have to indoctrinate children in order to keep it alive? Number 4, weaponizing politics. What happens when faith becomes a tool for political domination? Christianity has always had political ambitions, but in the United States, the alliance between white evangelical leaders and MAGA conservatives makes it blatant. They aim to pass biblical values into laws and stack the courts with judges who will enforce them. This partnership fuels voter suppression, anti-immigrant policies, and the rollback of civil rights. History shows us that when religion controls politics, freedoms shrink and people suffer every time. Number 3, economic exploitation. Why does God always seem to need more of your money? From medieval ties to modern megachurch empires, Christianity has perfected extracting wealth from its followers. Prosperity preachers promise blessings for seed offerings while living in mansions and tootling around in private jets. This is the same business model the Catholic Church used when it sold indulgences while peasants starved. If we stopped giving money to the church, it would die a quick death, and no God would step in and magically save it. Number 2, the erosion of church-state separation. Why would a religion that claims to thrive on truth need government enforcement? The First Amendment's Establishment Clause was meant to prevent what we're seeing now. 10 Commandments mandates in schools, government faith offices, and taxpayer-funded religious programs. I can't say this enough, but merging church and state has always led to corruption and persecution, and it's only going to get worse as the wall between the two continues to fall. Number 1, the Theocratic Endgame. What does life look like when one religion rules the law? The goal of Christian nationalism is total control. Biblical law is national law, dissent criminalized, and non-Christians treated as second-class citizens. Look up the 7 Mountain Mandate. Interesting read. History is clear. Every time this happens, civil rights vanish, freedoms shrink, and the state becomes an enforcer of religious purity. How long before your rights disappear in the name of their God? None of this is accidental. The oppression we see today is the result of a belief system built for obedience, conformity, and control. The myth of Christianity being a benevolent force blinds us to the fact of how dangerous it truly is. Now, not all Christians are like this, obviously, but way too many of those good Christians who love to help people and wouldn't hurt a soul, when it comes time to vote, they will happily vote for the candidate who promises to ban gay marriage or abortion for the babies, or to put the 10 Commandments in schools, or who will stop scientific research and education that goes against their faith. They would never hurt you personally, but they'll vote for someone who will. Again, throughout history, the world has trembled at the word Christian. It should again. And to be honest, it's really just a big blood cult. Click here to see my top 10s video on why Christianity is a blood cult. If you're into the top 10s, then click over here for my top 10s playlist. Sin safely, my friends. Take care.